lot of huge books. What? Who do I think I am? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my April TBR. I will be participating in both Realm-A-Thon and the Magical Readathon, and as you know, if you watch my channel, I follow Stephanie Bookverse's rules for TBR Star Hop as well. So I had to be a bit strategic. My TBR is bigger than what's comfortable for my reading, so we shall see how much I can push myself. I'm very excited. Before hopping into it, if you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Emily. On this channel, you will find mostly bookish content as well as the occasional gardening content or video related to motherhood. So if that is something that interests you, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. But without further rambling, let's hop into it. I am going to start with the Magical Readathon because that has the most structure and the most books, and then I will be using those books to work for Realm-A-Thon, which you can read pretty much anything for Realm-A-Thon, but to get some bonus points, and then also how I fit those with my TBR Star Hop rolls. Everything related to these things will be in the description box, videos to find out more information on these readathons, as well as Stephanie Bookverse's channel. As always, I am going to try and participate in 10 of the 14 classes for Orilium Year 1. I have my syllabus here, and I have two options for callings I'm going to go for, the two that spoke to me the most. Master of Elements, of course, that one needs just 6 books, and as kind of like a backup plan slash like one that's easier, but also one that I still feel like I'd be very content with if we were actually living in this world. And that is Herbologist, which you only need 2 classes for this first semester, this April semester. So like I said, it's easier for me to achieve. It's my backup plan, basically. Master of Elements is what I'm going for, so hopefully I can do that. And then I have, I think, 2 other books that I needed to read anyway, so I fit those into other classes. I hope that makes sense. It'll make more sense here in a moment. I'm just going to go down the list. Many books you will have seen on other TBRs. I have not been good at sticking with a TBR this year. I've read more than ever, but not necessarily the books that I put in my TBR videos. This is a new location for us as well. This is my TBR shelf. All these books are books I haven't read in the order alphabetically by author. So for the class Alchemy, I need to read a book that features a romance. For that, I have chosen The Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the 3rd book in the Blood and Ash series. I've been putting this off for a long time because this has very negative reviews overall, and I enjoyed From Blood and Ash and enjoyed less the 2nd book in the series, so I'm worried that I'm gonna like this one even less. You know what I mean? But it definitely contains a romance. It's a fantasy romance series, and honestly, I don't really know what direction this 3rd book is going to go in. Oh, there were 3 books I've added that I don't need to read. So while I'm here, I'm going to talk about the class Demonology. I do not need Demonology for either of my callings, but for that you need to read a book with Shadow in the title. And if I feel like continuing on after The Crown of Gilded Bones, I have another fantasy romance. This is actually the prequel to the series, but you read it next. A Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This happens way before the events of From Blood and Ash, but you need to read it after the first 3 books of From Blood and Ash and before reading the 4th book, which I don't have yet. I have been feeling like FOMO because everyone is reading that upon release. So if I'm feeling really in the mood, I've added another fantasy romance, and you'll see this come into play for Realm-A-Thon as well, but I don't need to read this. But if I'm in the mood, I mean, it's very chunky, so who knows. For Animal Studies, that is a quick read. I will pop in a picture of Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna Maguire. I started the Wayward Children series recently. I really enjoyed it. These are under 200 pages. Portal Fantasy, it's a bit darker than I expected. I think I talked about that in my February wrap up, but I'm on the wait list for the ebook for my library. I can read that in a day, so that is a quick read. Art of Illusion is a trope you like. Again, a class I don't need to take for my calling, but a trope I like is the found family trope. And while I have started this, I'm going to count it. You guys have seen this on, I think, every TBR since late last year. I don't know why this book is intimidating me so much. I know I'm going to love it. You'll be happy to know I actually did start this. I'm hoping to read a chunk of it today as well. So I'll have still more than half to read in April, but I need to finish this. So I thought, why not find a class that it would work for? I know technically you're not supposed to have started the book, but I'm less than a quarter of the way in, so I am going to count it. And this definitely has found family elements. This is the Final Empire series by Brandon Sanderson, book 2. It's just deceptively long. It's like 800 pages, or like my edition is. Even though it looks thin, it looks about 400 pages to me, and it is twice that. But I'm flying through it. Like, I love it. Now that I've actually forced myself to pick it up, I'm enjoying my time, and this is for a reading vlog that 100% will be coming in April because I need to finish it. It was supposed to be for January, February. I will also do another reading vlog in April as well because I wanted to do one every other month. So stay on the lookout for that, but this is for the first one. Astronomy is a book I need to read to be Master of Elements, and for that it's to read a book at the top of your TBR. Valor by John Gwynne. I am so excited to get to this. Malice was such a welcome surprise. It intimidated me. I owned it for quite a long time before reading it, and I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it, and I've heard that the rest of the series is even better than Malice. So I'm very, very eager to pick up Valor. I was supposed to pick this up in March, but I wasn't in the mood for it, I guess. I just have been being hesitant on these ginormous books, but I have like a gazillion huge books on my April TBR, so I hope I'm able to get through many of them. I'm very excited about this. It is an epic adult fantasy. It involves prophecies, lots of war, scary creatures, giants, like all kinds of amazing things. This is at the top of my TBR, but it still does intimidate me. For Conjuration, which again I need to read to be Master of Elements, I need to read a book with a source of light on the cover. For that I have chosen Zodiac Academy. This is the first book, The Awakening, by Carolyn Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. This is a fantasy romance. It's a bully romance. I've heard the first 2 books are quite dark, but this has stars on the cover. So, I mean, that's a source of light, right? I'm gonna count it. I really struggled with this prompt, and this is Stephanie Bookverse's Patreon buddy read pick for April, and I'm very eager to get to this. It has a magical school setting. It involves fae and twins, Gemini twins, and apparently your power is involved with your zodiac sign. Sounds very interesting to me, and fantasy romance is something I can read very quickly, which is going to be very handy for Realm-A-Thon as well. And I think this is going to be a quick read. So I'm excited to get to that one as well. For Elemental Studies, that is to read a book less than 100 pages. I am choosing A Dead Djinn in Cairo, and this is a very short novella, and I want to get to his full-length novel by P. Jelly Clark. I should have written his name on my paper. I might have that completely wrong, but you'll be seeing it right here. I know Jessie May read these books last year, was it? And really enjoyed them. I believe that's where I heard about them from. What I did for this prompt is I sorted my Goodreads want to read shelf by lowest number first, and this was one of the first ones. And I thought, oh yes, I can fly through that. So I bought it and I put it on my Kindle. Inscription, another class I do not need to take, but for that class you need to read an intimidating book. And no, I most certainly have not read The Wall of Storms by Ken Liu yet. This is the definition of an intimidating book, not only because of its size at 850-ish pages, but also because I didn't fully enjoy The Grace of Kings. I've heard this one is better. I've heard the rest of the series is better than the first book, but I'm still just terrified. I actually need to return this to the library and then try and check it out again and hope nobody else is waiting for it because I've had it for so long and I haven't even started it. This is just stuck in there. I am so beyond intimidated for this book, but I need to read it because Stephanie's channel Read Along is going to have a live show within the next week. I'm not going to be able to participate in that and I feel so bad, but this book just fully terrifies me. But this is an Asian inspired military fantasy. So I really do hope to get it on my April TBR. 2 more left. For both Herbologist and Master of Elements, I need to have my Restoration class, and that is a book that features healers. This is a little tricky to think of without reading the book. However, my best friend Rebecca and I are continuing our Throne of Glass buddy read, so we're on to Queen of Shadows. And I know there were healers pretty significantly in Heir of Fire, and there's also a novella within The Assassin's Blade that heavily features healers. So I know that this world features healers, so I'm going to put this in. If they really don't play a part at all throughout this entire book, I can do some rejigging of my classes. Maybe the Crown of Gilded Bones will have healers in it. Maybe the Zodiac Academy will, although I really needed that one for a source of light. I don't know. I can probably move things around. Maybe a Shadow in the Ember does, because I don't need demonology at all, but I do need restoration. So we'll just see. I am 100% reading this book. What am I trying to say? This month? Oh my gosh, my brain. And this also has the word shadow. So if this doesn't feature healers and a Shadow in the Ember does, I can literally just flip-flop those for the different classes. But this is getting read this month no matter what. I'm actually starting that tomorrow. Lastly, Shape-Shifting, a creature with claws on the cover. Another book that has been on every TBR for many months. Exodus by Kate Stewart. I don't know why I haven't picked this one up either. It's not that long. It's just over 400 pages. I read Flock in February and obsessed. Huge cliffhanger, but I keep getting caught up with buddy read obligations that are kind of slowing me down, or reading vlog obligations, and I really do need / want to get to this. And ravens have talons, which are claws. I actually googled that and it was like talons are claws, but not all claws are talons. Kind of like the thumb is a finger, but a finger is not a thumb situation, you know? So I'm counting this, and this will be the month I get to that. So that is my Orilium TBR. Can I even pick it up? That is the question. This is insane. I only have to read 6 books to be Master of Elements. So that is my focus and what I'm going to go for. And that has most of my commitments on it, with the exception of The Wall of Storms and The Well of Ascension, 2 of my most intimidating reads. So we'll see what we get on with. Oh, baby. That is a lot of huge books. Who do I think I am? Okay, moving on to my Realm-A-Thon TBR. So Realm-A-Thon is created by Covers with Cassidy, and it is a military fantasy inspired readathon. That is her favorite genre. And while I encourage you to watch her video to get like the gist of how it runs, because it's a tad complicated for me to explain right now. Basically, any books that you read in the month of April would help your team. So I am Team Bale, which is the fantasy romance team, and the co-hosts for that are Becca with the books and Mel Lenore Reads, right? I'll have them linked down below as well. And fantasy romance is a genre that I recently got into and I'm very much enjoying within the last year. So I'm very excited to be participating in that team. So you get bonus points slash, it's not really bonus points, but it's 10 plus or minus points if you read a military fantasy, and it's 10 plus or minus points if you read like your team's genre. So for me, that's a fantasy romance. And you can do plus or minus 20 if you can combine those perfectly together. There's also bonus points or like a higher number of points if you can read one of Cassidy's favorite books, but I'm really in no position to continue starting series. I really need to finish some series, so I say that, but I put the Zodiac Academy on here, but that's for a buddy read. That doesn't count. Now, Cassidy did a military fantasy romance recommendation. Well, she did a video recommending military fantasies within all the subgenres for the team. So I wrote down the military fantasy romance crossover books. And 2 books that can work for that are like the From Blood and Ash series. So apparently, well, these are both fantasy romances, I know that for sure, but apparently both of these have military elements as well. So these books would be plus or minus 20 for my team if I fit these both on. Otherwise, the Zodiac Academy is a fantasy romance. So again, this is a priority for my team. And lastly, just for Realm-A-Thon in general, the military fantasy element of it, both Valor and the Wall of Storms would fit in for that. So I tried really hard to fit a lot of military and fantasy romance on my April TBR, but like, why are these books so huge? Zodiac Academy is not really that huge, but like, so those are my priorities in terms of Realm-A-Thon for my team. Last element of my April TBR, I'm out of breath from lifting all those books over and over again. I have my roles for April TBR Star Hop and the books I chose for those. Again, if you don't want to be spoiled on what the roles are, be sure to watch Stephanie's video first. It is linked down below. First role was 2 or more authors. For that, I'm reading Zodiac Academy. Again, it's by Caroline and Suzanne, and this is also for Stephanie's Patreon book club read. So this works for every element of my April TBR. This is at the top of my priority list. Next is a romance, and for that I put in Exodus by Kate Stewart. This is a dark romance series. Next is a book with foiling. For that I put in Queen of Shadows. Queen of Shadows is what is foiled on the front as well as on the spine. I don't have any like super fancy editions, unfortunately. I mean, that counts as foiling too, right? This is what I put on there. And the last roll for TBR Star Hop, this is the shortest it has ever been, I think, is just a free pick. Whatever. For that, on my paper, I wrote The Crown of Gilded Bones, but really it's just anything I read outside of that, which I have plenty to read. So that is 10 books on my April TBR. Now, I typically have been a 4 to 5 book a month kind of reader. This month, I have been surprising myself and have pushed it to 6 or 7. Again, 6 books is my priority so I can get my Master of Elements calling in this first semester of school. So fingers crossed that I'm able to do that. And then any of those books I read can go towards Realm-A-Thon. But I'm very excited to make reading my top priority in the month of April. That's why I really love participating in large readathons like this. It's just so motivating to me, and it keeps me from like picking up my phone as often or just sitting and binging some Netflix. Like, it truly pushes me to make reading an actual priority, even though it always is in my mind. I've been watching YouTube way too much, etc. So overall, I'm just very excited. So I'm going to pick up the stack one more time to show you this insanity. This time I'm going to be strategic in my stacking. Last time I was not. Oh my god. It's choking me. So it's these 8 books plus a Dead Gin and Cairo and Down Among the Sticks and Bones, which are both going to be ebooks, and those are both small. So I'm really not worried about those. I can't even, like, I'm too short. This is my April TBR. Oh my god. Now I need to turn it around for the thumbnail. That is the most intimidating stack of books I think I've ever seen. Wish me luck and tell me which books you plan on reading in the month of April in the comments down below. I'd love to chat with you. Are you participating in either of these readathons? If you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up so that I know, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!